Okay, time for a new video, and whether you are somebody new to my channel or you are returning to my channel to watch this video, it is greatly appreciated. As always, apologies if the quality isn't that great. Hopefully it's not too much of an issue, and as always I ask that you respect my opinions going forwards, as I will with yours. So, first video for a while. I should probably explain where I've been. Well, I've been here. I just haven't been filming. I've been focusing on other things, university work. For those of you that don't know, I'm in the final year of a master's degree, so I've been working a little bit on that, and I'll be working on it more going forwards as well. And also, as I think I mentioned in one of my previous videos, my room was in the process of being decorated, and it is pretty much done now. That's why everything looks a little bit different. There are books behind me, books here, stuff in front of me, stuff over there. So this is how my videos are going to look for the foreseeable future. And hopefully it's okay, hopefully my face doesn't look too pale, and hopefully the quality is okay. I've had a few comments on previous videos over the past few weeks, people talking about the quality of my videos. It bugs me as well, but this is the best I can do, and hopefully it is not too much of an issue. So, what am I going to be talking about in this video? Well, I'm finally getting back into the series I started last year, where I take a look back at previous editions of the Eurovision Song Contest. I started with 2003, the very first contest that I remember watching, and what a great show it was in Latvia that year. And I have gone all the way up to 2012, I believe. Now, I say that, I'm not entirely sure if I filmed the 2012 video or not. Something tells me I didn't. But anyway, I'm going to talk about 2013 in this video. I'll check if I filmed the 2012 one. If not, I'll film that soon, and the videos will be a little bit out of order. But not to worry. So, the 2013 contest. I have information in front of me, just to make sure I don't forget anything. The 14th, 16th, and the 18th of May 2013, the 58th edition of the contest. It was staged in Malmo, in southern Sweden, for the second time after the 1991 contest. Petra Mede was the sole host of that edition of the contest, and she did an absolutely brilliant job. She was professional and humorous and everything you would want from a Eurovision host, and proof that you only need one person hosting the show. Erik Saade, who represented his country in 2011, was in the green room though. 39 countries, Armenia returning, no Bosnia and Herzegovina, no Portugal, no Slovakia, who haven't returned since, and no Turkey, who also have not competed since. We Are One was the theme. The Malmo Arena was the venue. A relatively modern build, used for ice hockey, I believe, and concerts every now and then. A capacity of somewhere in the region of 9 to 12,000 for the 3 shows. And yeah, I'll get straight into it. Semi-final 1 had 16 songs in it, and I'm going to go through them. But only the countries that didn't qualify first, of course. So, let me know your thoughts, and I'll get into it. Song 1 was Austria. This was Shine, performed by Natalia Kelly, who I believe is now probably about 27? 24, wow, she's younger than me, yes, and she was born in Connecticut in the USA. This song I liked from the first time I heard it. It is a pretty average sort of pop song. It's not really upbeat, but neither is it really low key. The staging was quite simple. Natalia sounded quite nice. I really did think this was going to qualify at the time, but it didn't. 14th place, 27 points. It's worth saying that when you look at the split results for the 3 shows, it doesn't state the specific amount of points that each country got. Instead, we have the average placing, if you see what I mean. So Austria in the jury vote had an average placing by the juries of 6.32, which means 5th overall. So the juries really liked this song. The public, on the other hand, really didn't. Austria was 15th out of 16 in the public vote with an average rank of 12.33. I think that's really harsh. I thought this song was liked by fans, but clearly not as much as I initially believed. So Austria did not qualify, but of course a year later they would win. Song 3 was Slovenia. This was Straight Into Love by Hannah, another American-born musician. She was actually born in Fresno, California. Now, this is officially number 39 of 39 in 2013. It finished last in the first semi-final with just 8 points, and Slovenia was last with the jury and the public. It's not often that the jury and the public agree on which country should come last, but in this case they did. This was quite upbeat, elements of EDM, I guess, if that's the right term to use. I think the issue was the vocals. They just weren't quite as strong as they perhaps should have been. It sounded as though she was shouting more than singing at certain points. There was a bit of choreography, and I suppose the song is somewhat catchy, but it just wasn't working too well on stage. It was early in the running order, and there were far better performances. Moving on to Song 4, Croatia. Quite a traditional number. This was Miseria by Klappers Mora. And it was a group of guys, 6 guys, and Klapa is traditional a cappella singing in Dalmatia, Croatia, for those of you that are wondering. This was really stripped back, wasn't a whole lot going on stage, as I think we all expected at the time. This finished in 13th place with 38 points. It is refreshing to have a song like this every year, but it has to be really great to even qualify, and Croatia didn't. Miseria was 13th with the juries and 10th with the public, so it would have qualified if 100% televoting. Moving on, Song 9, Montenegro. Now this was a big fan favourite at the time, and I think it's still really liked today. Many people consider it to be one of the most underrated songs of the past few years. The Montenegro entry was called Igranka, and I can't remember what that translates as, but Who See performed it, 2 guys, and they were joined by a lady called Nina Zizic. Igranka means party, and this was hip-hop, sort of, I suppose, EDM again, that sort of blend of genres, something very different and something quite contemporary, and something very different from Montenegro in the contest. This finished 12th with 41 points. Big difference here, unsurprisingly so, between the jury and the public. The jury had Montenegro in 14th place, the public 4th. So, understandably, I can sort of see why a lot of people were really unhappy that Montenegro didn't qualify, because it was the juries who let this song down. I thought the performance was quite messy. There was a lot of green, if I remember. The guys were dressed as astronauts. There was this whole sci-fi theme to the performance. And I know that some of the camera angles were quite fancy, if I recall. It was a long time ago, so I don't exactly remember, but I just thought it was a bit of a mess. I think it could have been a lot cleaner, a lot sharper, and it's not really my genre either. So I wasn't too upset that Montenegro missed out, but I know a lot of other people were. Song 14 was Cyprus, An Me Thimase by Despina Olympiou, a great singer. The song translates as If You Remember Me, performed in Greek, 15th place, 11 points, 14th with the public, and 12th with the jury. This was never going to qualify. It was just too low-key, too dull, and it's incredible to think that just a few years later, Cyprus would send Fuego. You couldn't have 2 more different songs. Then we have Serbia, the last song from semi-final 1. This was Ljubav Jesvuda, performed in Serbian by Moje 3. Three young girls. The song translates as Love is Everywhere. The issue here wasn't necessarily the song or the vocals, but the outfits. You know, I know it sounds a bit strange to talk about that because the outfits shouldn't really matter, but I think here it was a disadvantage. They just didn't look great at all. They looked quite childish, I guess. And I know that they were young, but even so, the outfits weren't quite working. They were trying to tell a story on stage, which I don't think really came across too well. There were a few things that weren't quite working the way they should have been, and in the end, Serbia missed out in 11th place with 46 points. They were 12th with the public and 15th with the juries. So Serbia missed out. It's worth saying that Moje 3 included Nevena Bozovic, who represented her country as a soloist in Tel Aviv this year and was in Junior Eurovision as well. Excuse me, I think she became the first person to be front and centre as a musician at Junior Eurovision and the adult competition, but don't quote me on that. Anyway, that was semi-final 1, in which all of those countries voted alongside 3 of the automatic qualifiers, Italy, Sweden and the UK. Moving on to semi-final 2, song 1 was Latvia. This was, again, a bit of a mess. Vibrant, colourful, but in the end you can't escape the fact that the song just wasn't strong enough. This was Here We Go, performed by PER, or P-E-R. I think they had another song as well in the Latvian national selection. This finished last, 17th out of 17 with 13 points, and in the split results Latvia were last with the public and 15th with the juries. There was a stage dive in that performance, I do remember that. Song 2 was San Marino. Well, this perhaps should have qualified. Valentina Monetta back for a second year in a row. The previous year she had that very silly Social Network song. This was much more serious, much more professional. Chrysalide Vola, performed in Italian. It finished 11th with 47 points. I think it translates as Chrysalis Fly. Don't quote me on that. The translation isn't here. It doesn't really matter anyway. 11th place, yes, San Marino were unlucky not to qualify. They finished 12th with the public and 10th with the jury. So if they had just received a few more points from the public, Valentina would have been in the final, and it would have been San Marino's first appearance in a Eurovision final. Of course, they would have to wait another year. This started off very slow, very dramatic and mysterious, and then it turned into a bit of a banger, truth be told, and I'm not sure the two parts of the song gelled together very well, if you see what I mean, but it's a very good song, and I do think it probably should have qualified. If it had been in semi-final 1, it might well have qualified, but we don't know. Song 3 was Macedonia, North Macedonia as they're now known. This was Pred da se razdeni, performed in Macedonian and Romani, translates as Before the Sunrise. 2 performers here, Esma Redshipova, who passed away a few years ago but was a huge star in Macedonia and all the surrounding countries. She was an iconic figure, and she was joined by Lozano, whose real name is Vlatko Lozanovsky. This song, again, almost in 2 parts. I liked his parts, but Esma's parts, I just wasn't quite enjoying the sound. And again, they didn't quite gel well together. I think, if anything, people were put off by her style of singing, perhaps. I know that sounds harsh, but maybe it's true. 16th place, 28 points. Macedonia finished 16th with the public and 14th with the jury. Moving on, Bulgaria, another returning act here. Elitsa Todorova and Stoyan Yankelov for Bulgaria. They had qualified in 2007, the first Bulgarian act to make the final, and they finished 5th. This entry, Samo Championi, which I believe means only champions, finished 12th with 45 points. Again, a rather messy performance, it has to be said. Banging drums, Elitsa doing the singing. Yeah, I didn't like it at the time and I don't like it now. But it's very interesting to take a look at the split results because Bulgaria were 6th with the public, which is quite generous if you ask me, and last with the juries, who I think looked at this and listened to it and thought, it's not my cup of tea. So Bulgaria didn't qualify, 12th place overall. It just wasn't the strongest song at all. Song 10, Israel. I know a lot of people were surprised this didn't qualify. This was Moran Matzor with Rak Bishvilo, performed in Hebrew. It finished 14th with 40 points. The title translates as Only for Him. This was a ballad, and so the staging was very stripped back, as you would expect. I wasn't so keen on her outfit, not that that really matters. I think she was wearing big glasses as well. Good voice, very powerful, but perhaps erring on the side of boring. Israel finished 14th with the public and 9th with the jury, so it was the public who let Israel down back in 2013. Song 14 was one of the very few rock songs of the year, Albania, with Identitet, which means identity, performed by two guys, Adrian Luljuraj and Bledar Sheko. Now, Bledar was the man who had the pyrotechnic guitar, if you remember. This finished 15th with 31 points. This was a very striking performance, lots of red, as I said, lots of pyrotechnics and firework effects. This stood out a lot, and it probably should have done better in the end. 15th with the public and 12th with the jury. Not much else to say, not everybody's taste, quite gravelly vocals, but then again most rock songs do have that, I guess. It really did stand out, but it didn't qualify. We then move on to Song 16, Switzerland, Takasa with You and Me. Takasa, an acronym for the artists known as Salvation Army. They were known as Hales Army, which is German for Salvation Army, but of course the bigwigs at the EBU said, nope, we can't have that, it's too political, so they changed their name to Takasa. 13th place, 41 points. Switzerland were 5th in the public vote, which is really impressive, and I know that this was a bit of a fan favourite back in 2013, but the juries killed their chances, placing Switzerland 16th, and so when you combine those two results, Switzerland did not make the final, finishing 13th with 41 points, as I think I already said. This was too bland a performance. The song itself, not the most incredible, it has to be said. The oldest person ever to appear on the Eurovision stage was Emil Ramsauer, who was 95 at the time. I don't know if he's passed away, he probably has, but he is the record holder for the oldest person ever to appear on the Eurovision stage, I believe. And then you had another person, Sarah, who was 22. So there was quite an age gap between the oldest and youngest member of the group. As I said, it was a really static performance. It wasn't the most memorable. The song was powerful, rousing, stirring stuff, but it just wasn't good enough in the end. And I should say that all those countries voted alongside Germany, France and Spain. So, the grand final, for the first time since 1985, no country of the former Yugoslavia participated in the grand final. I don't know if that's happened again since, but anyway, 26 songs, one winner, and I will try to be as brief as I can be. Song 1. Song 1 was France. Amandine Bourgeois with L'Enfer et Moi, which means Hell and Me. Quite a moody, angsty, angry, passionate song to kickstart the final. 23rd place, 14 points. It was on early, I think people forgot it very quickly, and I don't think it was one of the favourites anyway. France, however, did very, very well in the jury vote. I feel as though this has been a bit forgotten about. France finished 12th in the jury vote in 2013, but 25th with the public, and of course they finished 23rd overall. I've never been a big fan of this song, but she really sang it very well, I think. She was really going for it towards the end. Maybe a bit too shouty, but it sort of fit the song, if you see what I mean. Anyway, song 2, Nobody Likes Performing Second. It was Lithuania's turn in 2013. This was Something by Andrius Pojavis. This was a surprise qualifier, no doubt about it. Lithuania went through in 9th place from semi-final 1, doing better with the public than the jury. This song was fine, but the way it was performed and the way it looked was a real disappointment. Andreas sounded alright, he was dressed very casually, and the lyrics of this song don't make a whole lot of sense. Because of the shoes I'm wearing today, one is called Love, the other is Pain. I mean, what's that all about? 22nd place, that's not really a shock. 17 points. Lithuania finished 21st with the public and 25th with the jury. And if I remember, Andreas was really unhappy at the end, saying something like 17 points, what the hell is that all about? I can't quite remember, but the song probably shouldn't have been in the final anyway. Song 3, Moldova. This was really nicely done. This was a really top-notch performance. Aliona Moon, who had been a backing singer and dancer the year before for Pasha Parfeni, well, he was back as the pianist on stage for Aliona in Malmo. This song was called O Mie, which I believe means a million, performed in Romanian, and it finished 11th with 71 points. Moldova have had some very impressive results over the year for such a small country. Moldova finished 4th in the first semi-final and did much better with the jury. And in the final, Moldova were 19th with the public and 5th with the jury. So quite the difference. 11th place overall. Great vocals. She was wearing this dress which sort of elevated as the song went on. Very Elina Nechaeva Estonia 2018, if you see what I mean. There were sorts of projections on her dress as well. It looked good, it sounded good. 11th place, I think, was about right. Song 4, Finland, big fan favourite that flopped, it has to be said. Krista Sigfrids, who since has tried to represent Sweden. This song was called Marry Me, 24th place, 13 points, which I think at the time was a really surprising outcome. Finland finished 9th in semi-final 2, doing better with the juries. And in the grand final, Krista was 20th with the public and 18th with the juries. I think people just went off this song. Maybe they just saw it as a bit of a joke. They couldn't take it seriously. This was pop, catchy, fun. This whole thing regarding a wedding and that sort of stuff. There was a lesbian kiss at the end, which angered a few people. I think Turkey refused to broadcast the contest because of it, which I think is just a bit childish, but there we go. Just a fun song and an enjoyable performance. But in the end, I think people just went off it. Song 5, Spain. For me, this is a bit of an underrated gem. This was El Sueño de Morfeo, or ESDM if you prefer, with Contigo hasta el final, with you until the end. Performed in Spanish, and it finished 25th with 8 points. Last with the public, last with the jury, but not last overall. Really quite surprising how they combined the results at the time. Anyway, this was pop meets folk. Really lovely. I mean, really lovely. I've always liked this song a lot. It's one of my favourites from that year. Female lead singer, she was in a yellow dress, which looked really good, barefoot. 2 other guys in the group. And I just found it a really relaxing song. I liked the performance, although the vocals weren't as impressive as they perhaps should have been. The studio version is really nice. It's quite a traditional, chilled song to listen to, and it should have done better. Let me know what you think. Spain, underrated in 2013, if you ask me. Really nice stuff. Took a while to get going, but then, you know, the beat kicked in. Really good stuff. Anyway, song 6, Belgium. Well, I remember when this song was chosen, people loathed it. They said, oh no, Belgium, they're going to really struggle this year. But then they revamped the song, the studio version came out, and then people really started to appreciate it. And rightly so, it's a very good song. Love Kills, performed by young Roberto Bellarosa. in English. 12th place, 71 points. Belgium finished 5th in the first semi-final, doing slightly better with the jury, although 7th place in both sets of results, it has to be said. And then in the final, Belgium finished 17th with the public, which is a little harsh, and 11th with the jury. This was a fine performance. He was dressed quite smartly, couple of women with him, not too sure about the choreography. You had lyrics on the backdrop behind him, and he looked a bit nervous, sounded a little bit nervous, but he did a great job overall. He was, what, 18 at the time? It's not easy standing there performing a song at Eurovision when you are 18 years old, but he did a fine job, and I think 12th place very much deserved. If anything, it's a bit of a forgotten Belgian entry, which is a shame because it's really good. Very powerful chorus. Song 7, Estonia. This started off in black and white, and then more colour appeared. This was Et us sax alguse. In Estonian. It's not often we hear that language at the contest. It translates as, so there can be a new beginning. Birgit performed it. She was pregnant at the time, and I believe it was this year she tried to represent Estonia again as part of the Swingers. This finished 20th, 19 points in the first semi-final. Estonia went through in 10th place, doing slightly better with the juries, and in the final, Estonia were 24th with the public and 16th with the jury. This was a ballad, really classy, really relaxing to listen to, beautiful voice, beautiful singer. She was in a white dress, and there's really not much to say about this. It was what it was. Really nicely done, but not the most memorable. Song 8, Belarus. This was Soleo, performed by Aliona Lanskaya, who I believe was supposed to represent Belarus the year before, but she was disqualified. Long story. Anyway, here she was in Malmo with Soleo, which finished 16th with 48 points. In the semi-final, the first semi-final, she finished 7th, doing slightly better with the public. And in the final, she was 13th with the public and 22nd with the jury, who I think just saw this as a bit of a mess, perhaps. I don't know. Anyway, she emerged from this shiny ball. She was wearing a shimmery silver dress. There were a couple of dancers with her. There was a fiery theme going on. Catchy, summery, very different from Belarus. I believe Alexander Rybak was in the music video because, of course, he was born in Belarus, I believe. Yeah. Quite a fun song, but nothing truly spectacular. And I think the result was as we all expected. Song 10, Russia. Not Song 10. Song 9, apologies, Malta. Perhaps the surprise of the year, but well deserved if you ask me. This was Gianluca, who I believe was a doctor at the time, probably still is, with Tomorrow. This finished 8th. With 120 points. It's a very good result for Malta. In the semi-final, Gianluca finished 4th and did slightly better with the juries. I say slightly better. He won the jury vote in semi-final 2 and was 7th with the public. And in the grand final, Malta were 9th with the public and the jury. So I think the public started to appreciate this more after the semi-final. This was really charming, very sweet. Jeremy in IT, of course, being mentioned in the lyrics. The lyrics were on the backdrop behind him. There was a bench, a couple of other musicians on stage with him. It was really simple, but it really worked. And like I said, it was very charming. And it reminds me a bit of Denmark's entry this year. There is a fine line between doing something that is too cheesy and doing something that is just charming enough. And I think Malta did it right in 2013, and I think Denmark did it right this year. 8th place. Impressive. Song 10, Russia. Dina Garipova, great singer, beautiful singer, with What If? One of those songs with a message, ladies and gentlemen. This finished 5th. Russia doing well again with 174 points. Russia finished 2nd in the first semi-final, doing marginally better in the jury vote in terms of ranking. And then in the final, Russia were 5th with the public and 10th with the jury. This was simply staged, all about the vocals, a couple of other people with her, light up balls that were thrown into the crowd towards the end of the song, and there was this really nice effect with the lamps that were hanging down from the ceiling. They sort of were just above the crowd for most of the song, and then they went slowly back up to the ceiling in the final chorus and lit up. It was a really nice effect. The glow sticks working as well. This was really nicely done. And 5th place, I think, a deserved result. Yeah, solid stuff. Song 11, Germany. Now, this was one of the favourites to win, but it flopped. This was Glorious. And a lot of people said that it was a rip-off of Sweden's winning song the year before, Euphoria. I suppose it is quite similar, but it's not exactly the same. And it was performed by Cascada, a German dance act consisting of Natalie Haller and a few others. Natalie's the one that we saw front and centre on stage. Cascada were well known all across Europe, still are. They had a #1 hit in the UK and a couple of other successful singles too. So this was up-tempo, vibrant stuff, a big dance pop number, but it only finished in 21st place with 18 points. The vocals maybe weren't brilliant. There were a few pyrotechnic effects, a pinkish purple colour scheme if I remember. Germany finished 16th with the public and 20th with the juries, and I'm not too surprised by that. I wasn't blown away by the performance at the time. I really wasn't. I found it just all a bit too uninspired, I guess. And Germany not getting the result that I think they really wanted. Song 12, a surprise qualifier here, Armenia. This song was actually booed when it went through in the semi-final. This was Dorian's, a group led by Gor Sujan, I believe. The song was called Lonely Planet. It finished 18th with 41 points. In the semi-final, the second semi-final, Armenia finished 7th, doing slightly better with the juries, it has to be said. And then in the final, 15th with the public and 19th with the juries. So a switch there. This was soft rock. I believe that Tony Iommi of Black Sabbath, is it Black Sabbath? I should know this. Tony Iommi of Black Sabbath composed this song, which I think is quite strange. But anyway, not the most memorable performance. Minimal lighting, if I remember. I don't mind the lyrics. I can listen to the song, but it's not incredible. And should it have been in the final? Probably not. Moving on, song 13, The Netherlands. Back in the final after years away. Anouk, big star in the Netherlands. She said, I'm going to do it if I have control over everything. So Dutch TV were like, yep, go ahead. And her song was called Birds, and it finished 9th with 114 points. I mean, that's really impressive. After years of very disappointing results, for the Netherlands to come back with a big star and a very risky sort of song and finish 9th, that's very impressive. Anouk was on the catwalk, and this is a very glum sort of song, but there's also something that's very uplifting about it. It's a very strange sort of song to talk about. Anouk's a good singer, and there was nothing over the top about the performance at all. It was just really relaxing to look at and listen to. The Netherlands qualified and were announced as the last qualifier in semi-final one, it should be worth saying, in 6th place. The Netherlands did slightly better with the jury, and then in the final, Anouk was 11th with the public and 7th with the juries. Not much else to say about it. A very nice song. A song that I liked a lot more after the contest than I did on the night. Song 14, Romania. Yeah, this for me, probably the most overrated entry of 2013. One of the most overrated Eurovision entries of the past decade. This was César with It's My Life. Quite an operatic sort of pop song, it has to be said. And if anything, it was comical rather than serious. I think. 13th place, 65 points. Romania qualified in 5th place, winning the public vote in the second semi-final, and 13th with the jury. And then in the final, 7th with the public and 24th with the jury. Big difference here, not a surprise. I think he was wearing a sort of black outfit. I can't quite remember. I mean, a very impressive singer, but not the sort of song he perhaps should have had. It was just too silly, and I was surprised it did as well as it did. Let me know your thoughts. Song 15, the UK. Oh, dearie me. Bonnie Tyler, a huge star here in the UK. Welsh. She was very, very successful before my time in the 1980s, but I think she had quite a bit of success in the 90s as well. There she is, known for her husky voice. She was born in 1951. Her real name is Gaynor, for those of you that don't know. Big star, success in America, holding out for a hero, Grammy nominations, very, very famous. And of course the UK the year before had Engelbert Humperdinck, and that didn't work. And Bonnie Tyler, arguably not necessarily better known, but more successful perhaps, she took to the stage with Believe in Me, this low-key sort of pop with the faintest hints of rock. 19th place, 23 points, a real shame. I thought the performance was fine, I thought she sounded fine, I thought everything looked the way it should have looked, but it wasn't super memorable. I seem to be repeating myself here. The UK finished 22nd with the public and 15th with the jury, so it was the public, surprise, surprise, who let the UK down. 19th place, a little bit harsh. It really wasn't that bad a song, and it really wasn't that bad a performance, but it didn't stand out much. Song 16, Sweden. This was the last Swedish entry to date not to finish in the top 10. Back in 2013. This was Robin Stjernberg with You. 14th place, 62 points. Now what's remarkable about this is that Robin went through to the Melfest final thanks to the second chance round. And I believe he's the only musician to have won Melfest, having gone through that stage of the contest. Anyway, this was pop. Some high notes in this song that Robin hit. There was a little podium on stage, bit of choreography. I suppose lyrically it could have been a bit stronger, but not a bad song overall. 14th place, 62 points. Sweden were 18th in the public vote and 3rd with the juries. And this is something that we still sort of see today, of course. The juries really loving Sweden, the public not so much. Anyway, I'm aware that this video is very long. I'm going to keep going though. Song 17, Hungary. This was Kedvesem, performed by Alex, whose real name is Alex Marta, an indie pop singer. Kedvesem means sweetheart. This was the Zoo Hacker remix that was at Eurovision. It finished 10th with 84 points, which I don't think too many people were expecting. In the semi-final, Hungary were 8th, doing slightly better with the public. Yes, and in the final, Hungary were 8th with the public and 21st with the jury. Some very interesting images on the backdrop. Not a whole lot of movement, but I suppose this was charming and sweet and quirky, and people appreciated that. We'll leave the winner for the moment. Song 19, Iceland, underrated. This is a brilliant ballad from Iceland. Eyþór Ingi Gunnlaugsson was the singer. Very Icelandic looking, it has to be said, quite long hair and everything. Ég á líf, I Have a Life, performed in Icelandic, 17th place, 47 points in the semi-final. Iceland finished 6th, doing marginally better with the juries, and in the final 12th with the public, which is really good, and 17th with the jury. This was really nicely done. There was a sort of Northern Lights backdrop, if I remember. He was dressed very smartly. It was atmospheric. It was beautiful. Great, great singer. 17th, too low in my opinion. And Icelandic is quite a pretty language, I think. Graham Norton said, "It's not the language of love, it's more the language of gutting fish." But no, I think Icelandic's quite a nice language. And it sounded good at the contest. And it's a shame we don't hear it more often. I mean, we didn't this year, but Iceland will probably sing in English again next year. Anyway, Song 20, Azerbaijan. This was the runner-up, and I've never really understood why. I don't think it's that remarkable. Farid Mammadov was the singer, and he did sing it very well. The song was called Hold Me. It finished second with 234 points. There was this whole story going on stage. There was a man in a box, and there was a woman with a very long red dress. In the semi-final, Azerbaijan won it, finishing third with the public and second with the jury, and then in the final, third with the public and second with the jury. Not much to say here. Very nicely done, but I've never been a big fan. And yeah, second place? Really? I'm not too sure about that. Anyway, Greece, Song 21. A bit of a silly entry, but one that worked, because it finished 6th, 152 points. Another top 10 finish for the Greeks. Alcohol is free. This was a tongue-in-cheek sort of entry because of the recession in Greece and all of that business. Cosa Mostra featuring Agaton Iacovidis, a folk singer. Cosa Mostra are, because they're still together, a Greek rock band. In the semi-final, Greece finished second with the public and third with the jury. That's quite impressive. And then in the final, fourth with the public and 14th with the jury. This was energetic, catchy, fun, memorable. 6th place, not a surprise. Song 22, Ukraine, quite a Disney-esque sort of song. Zlata Ogniewicz, who would go on to co-host Junior Eurovision. Beautiful singer, beautiful voice. She really hit those high notes. The song was called Gravity. 3rd place, 214 points. In the semi-final, Ukraine finished third with the public, 4th with the jury, and in the final, 2nd with the public and 6th with the jury. She was carried on stage by a giant who apparently was very miserable for the whole experience, moaning about the contest. And then she just sang her heart out, and she did a very, very good job. And 3rd place, well deserved. Song 23, Italy. Great song, this. A song that sold copies galore in Italy before the contest. This was Marco Mengoni, a very suave and sophisticated looking musician, with L'Essenziale, the Essential, performed in Italian, 7th place, 126 points. He finished 10th with the public and 8th with the jury. He was in a blue suit, if I remember. There was a little bit of movement, because I think he walked on the catwalk towards the end. Not much again to say here. Just a really professional, nice, pleasant song to listen to. 7th place, about right, 126 points. Norway, Song 24, Margaret Berger, a striking blonde woman. I Feed You My Love. This was contemporary and different and striking and cool and unusual and hip, for want of a better word. Anyway, 4th place, 191 points. In the semi-final, 3rd place overall, and doing ever so slightly better in the public vote. In the final, Norway were 4th with the jury and 6th with the public. Interesting lyrics. Like I said, a very striking performance, and I think 4th place was very well deserved. In fact, this probably should have finished in the top 3. It was very, very good. Margaret, who probably is, 27, 28 now? 33? Whoops. Very beautiful, and I really ought to listen to any music that she's released since. No albums since 2006, I can't believe that. Anyway, great song, something very fresh and original. Song 25, Georgia. Some people thought this would win, it didn't come close. A duo, Nodi Tatishvili and Sophie Gelovani, with Waterfall. This finished 15th with 50 points. In the semi-final, Georgia were 10th, finishing 13th with the jury, 13th with the public, and 5th with the jury. And then in the final, 23rd with the public and 13th with the jury. This was a ballad, quite cheesy, but well performed, and 15th place maybe a little on the harsh side, but I suppose when you have a song like this every year, you do get bored by them, I guess. Anyway, song 26, Ireland. This came last with just 5 points. Ryan Dolan with Only Love Survives. I suppose by the last song, people have made their mind up who they want to win. Ireland did well to qualify. I didn't think it was that remarkable a song. The performance was fine. You had topless guys banging drums. Ryan, I think, was wearing a black jacket. There was a lot of red, if I remember. Too repetitive. The lyrics, not that brilliant. In the semi-final, Ireland went through in 8th place, doing better with the public. And then in the final, and this is what's remarkable, 14th with the public, 23rd with the jury, but last overall. I just find that a bit strange. It seems very odd, even to this day. But anyway, Ireland did finish last. Let me know your thoughts on that. There were weaker songs, and Ireland should have finished above them. That's all I'll say. But like I said, it was too repetitive. The chorus wasn't that strong, if you ask me. Anyway, the winner, and I will be brief, Emily de Forest, who, fun fact, is just a few weeks younger than me. There she is, Emily Charlotte Victoria de Forest, 28th of February 1993. My birthday's on the 6th of February, for those of you that are wondering, 1993. This song, Only Teardrops, bit of a folk song with Celtic influences. You have the little whistle thing, of course. First place, 281 points. In the semi-final, Denmark won it, winning the public and the jury vote, and then in the final, it was a similar outcome. Really nicely done. In the final chorus, you had the falling rain effect and lots of bits of paper flying about. Emily was wearing a sort of ragged dress. She was very young at the time, very beautiful. She still is very beautiful. And of course, she co-wrote the British entry in 2017. And I've listened to a lot of her music since, and some of it is very, very good. She had a song called Sanctuary and Any Less. That's a pretty good song. And she had a song called Hopscotch a few years ago, which was very good too. I actually have her album, her debut album, somewhere on my shelves. Just a really nice song. And in fact, it's the last time the actual winner was my personal winner. But I think people have gone off this song over the years. I see more people dislike it than like it. But then again, that's only on Twitter. I don't know in general. Let me know your thoughts. I think this did deserve to win. I thought it was the best song. I thought the performance was fine. She was barefoot, and she sang quite well, and it was a good melody, good song, nothing else to say. And that's it. I have barely drank any of this. So, there it is. A long video, I do apologise. And I'm well aware that I probably missed out on talking about the 2012 contest. If that's the case, I will film that video soon, all being well. And let me know your thoughts. Should Denmark have won? Should Ireland have finished last? Did Malmo do a good job of staging the show? Let me know. Apologies for waffling, and if I stumbled over my words, it can't be helped. I always film my videos in one go, so there's bound to be errors at some point. And hopefully this setup is fine. Hopefully the quality is not too bad. I will be back soon with that 2012 video if I didn't film it. I will also make a video talking about the UK at Eurovision in some point. And I will also be making a short video about Eurovision 2020, another update of sorts. I'll be filming that video soon because it looks like it's going to be either Rotterdam or Maastricht for the 2020 contest. And maybe you're from those places, in which case, let me know why your city should host the contest. That is it. I'm going to have some lunch, because it's just gone 12:30 here in Britain, filming this video right now. Until next time, thank you very much for watching. And, oh yes, there is one more thing I wanted to say. I'm subscribed to a lot of Eurovision related channels on YouTube, and I think it's a bit of a shame that those channels go very quiet when the contest is not taking place. And I don't know, I'd just like to see those people make more videos throughout the year. I don't know. Anyway, it's a minor thing. Until next time, thank you very much for watching. If you've stayed this long, I really do appreciate it. And bye for now.